Jake was just a regular guy. He lived in a small town, worked long hours at a car repair shop, and never believed in anything strange. No ghosts, no aliens, nothing. Every night he walked home through the same quiet streets, listening to music and looking up at the stars. He liked the stars. They felt far away, peaceful. But on one strange night, the stars didn't feel peaceful. They felt alive. That night, the sky opened up. It started with a hum, soft at first, like a distant machine. Jake took off his headphones and looked around. The street was empty. No cars, no wind. Just that low, deep hum. It made the ground feel strange, like it was shaking even though it wasn't. Then, the air grew cold. Not normal cold. Cold like the world had stopped breathing. Jake's skin tingled. His breath came out white even though it was summer. Above him, the sky shimmered like water. The stars blinked, moved. He blinked again. They weren't stars anymore. They were lights, big ones. Moving fast, Jake took a step back. One of the lights grew bigger, brighter, closer. A circle of silver light formed above his head. It wasn't just in the sky now, it was right there, maybe 100 feet above him. He tried to run, but his legs didn't move. His body felt frozen, like something held him in place. The light grew stronger, and suddenly Jake felt weightless. His feet lifted off the ground. He floated into the air, arms and legs swinging helplessly. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then everything went black. When Jake opened his eyes, he was lying on a cold, metal floor. The ceiling was curved, glowing with soft blue light. The air smelled strange, like metal and rain. He sat up slowly, his head spinning. "Where am I?" he whispered. No answer. The room was empty, silent. The walls were smooth and silver with no doors, no windows. He stood up and touched one wall. It was warm. Suddenly, a part of the wall slid open like a door. Jake jumped back. 3 figures entered the room. Tall, thin, not human. Their skin was silver blue and their eyes glowed white. They wore no clothes, just smooth armor that looked like it was part of their bodies. They didn't walk, they floated. No sound came from their feet. They stared at Jake with unblinking eyes. One of them raised a long hand and touched a small device on its wrist. A soft voice echoed through the room, not their voice, but a computer voice. "Human," it said. "You are awake." Jake took a step back. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice shaking. The figures didn't answer. One of them pressed a button. A beam of light scanned Jake's body from head to toe. A second later, the aliens stepped back in surprise. They whispered to each other in a strange language. Their eyes stayed locked on Jake's face. He could feel something strange in the air, fear. But they weren't afraid of him. They were afraid because of him. "Take him," one of them said. The voice came again through the device. "She must hear him." "Hear me?" Jake asked, confused. "Who is she?" They didn't answer. The aliens moved forward and lifted Jake off the ground without touching him. Some kind of invisible force pushed him forward through the wall door and into a long hallway. The ship, or whatever this place was massive. Lights glowed on the walls. Shadows moved behind glass windows. Jake saw other rooms, some empty, some filled with strange machines and floating lights. They reached a large, round platform. The aliens placed Jake in the center and stepped back. A beam of light surrounded him. Then the platform began to rise slowly. Jake looked up and saw a giant dome made of glass. Through it, he saw stars spinning, galaxies moving. But something else was up there too, something big, a throne. A figure sat on it, tall, bright. A woman, at least she looked like one. She stood as Jake rose closer. Her eyes glowed gold. A crown floated above her head. Her voice rang out, not loud but powerful. "Speak, human." Jake looked around. He didn't know what to say. "I'm Jake," he said quietly. "Why am I here?" The queen's eyes widened. The gold glow around her body flickered. Her hands trembled. Then, without warning, she knelt. The throne behind her dimmed. Her voice, now shaken, whispered through the silence. The voice. It has returned. Jake stood frozen on the glowing platform, the alien queen still kneeling before him. He couldn't believe what just happened. A few hours ago he was walking home from work. Now a creature from another world, clearly powerful, feared, and possibly dangerous, was bowing to him. The silver-skinned guards around her didn't move. Their glowing eyes were wide. One of them dropped his weapon. The silence inside the throne room was so heavy, Jake could hear his own heartbeat. His voice had done this? Just speaking made her fall to her knees. "I don't understand," Jake whispered. The queen slowly lifted her head. Her eyes shimmered gold like fire trapped in glass. "Say it again," she commanded, her voice trembling. "Speak once more." Jake hesitated, unsure what to say. He took a breath and said, "My name is Jake." This time, a deep sound shook the air around them like distant thunder. The walls of the throne room rippled with light. Some of the alien guards gasped and covered their ears. One of them cried out and fell to the ground. The queen stared at Jake with a strange mix of fear and wonder. "You must carry the voice of the first one," she said. "It should not be possible." Jake stepped off the platform. "Look, I don't know what's going on. I'm just a guy. I fix cars. I'm not special." But the queen shook her head slowly. "You are not just a man. Your voice is not normal." It touched the core. Jake blinked. "The what?" She pointed to a floating orb behind her throne. It pulsed with a deep, soft glow like a sleeping heart. "The core is the source of all sound and energy on our world," she explained. "Only one long ago could awaken it with their voice. That one was human." Jake was speechless. Him? Connected to some ancient alien power? It didn't make sense. "You're saying I have some magic voice?" The queen's tone grew serious. "It is not magic. It is ancient science, forgotten by your kind. Your voice is coded with something lost for thousands of cycles." One of the guards stepped forward. "He is dangerous, my queen. We must silence him before others find out." But she raised her hand. "No, he must be protected." Jake backed away. "Protected from what?" She looked at him with sadness. "From those who fear what you are. Many do not want the voice to return. It threatens their power." Jake tried to understand, but his head hurt. Too much, too fast. "Can I just go home?" he asked. The queen turned to her guards. "Prepare the humans' chambers, and send word to the High Council. They must be told the voice has returned." The guard hesitated. "If the council hears of this, war may begin." The queen stared into the distance. "Then let it begin." Two guards approached Jake. Their touch was gentle but firm. They led him down a glowing hallway. Jake looked back at the queen. She was still watching him, eyes filled with something he couldn't explain. Respect, fear, hope. The hallway twisted and shimmered. Strange symbols moved along the walls. Jake's room was like a glass cube floating in space. No bed, just soft light and warm air. Food appeared from the wall. A strange blue fruit and water that sparkled. Jake sat down and held his head. "What the hell is going on?" he whispered. Far above, the queen stood alone before the glowing core. Her voice was low. "He is not ready," she said to herself. "But he must be, before they find him." Deep inside the ship, in the shadows, another figure moved. A cloaked alien, face hidden, touched a device on its arm. A message was sent through a secret channel. It read, "The human has the voice. Eliminate him before sunrise." Jake didn't sleep that night. The room felt too quiet, too perfect. The walls glowed with soft blue light, but the silence pressed on his chest. He kept replaying the queen's words in his head. The voice of the first one. What did it even mean? He was no hero, no chosen one. He was just Jake, a man who fixed broken cars, not alien empires. Yet something deep inside him felt different. Ever since he spoke in that throne room, something inside his chest hummed, faint like a second heartbeat. He didn't know if it was fear or power. He stood near the glass wall, staring at the endless stars. "Maybe I'm dreaming," he whispered. "Maybe I'm already dead." But then the wall shimmered and a shadow appeared behind him. Jake turned quickly. It was the queen. She moved like light itself, her golden eyes glowing softly. "You cannot sleep," she said calmly. "I could feel your mind." Jake took a step back. "You can read minds now?" The queen smiled slightly. "No, but your voice vibrates with the core. It speaks even when you are silent." Jake frowned. "You keep saying core and voice. What do you mean?" "Just tell me what's happening." The queen motioned for him to sit. The floor around them lit up in a circle, projecting images into the air, glowing symbols, faces, and worlds Jake had never seen. "Long ago," she began, "our people came to Earth. We were searching for a new home because our world was dying. We thought humans were weak. But then one human spoke and destroyed an entire fleet with a single word." Jake blinked in shock. "That's impossible." The queen shook her head. "It was science. Sound beyond your understanding. We called him the First One. His voice carried the power of creation. He defeated our armies and made us leave Earth forever. But before he vanished, he promised the voice would rise again, in another human. Jake stared at the glowing image of a man, tall, dark-haired, eyes bright like stars. His face looked strange but familiar. "So you're saying I'm that guy?" he said quietly. The Queen looked at him with deep sadness. "You are his blood, his descendant. The code inside you carries his resonance." Jake rubbed his temples. "That's crazy. I don't even know how to sing, let alone destroy things with my voice." The Queen's tone softened. "Power does not ask for permission. It just waits to be awakened." Suddenly, the ship trembled. The lights flickered. A low alarm echoed through the halls. The Queen's expression changed, calm replaced by fear. "They have come," she said. "Who?" Jake asked. The door burst open. 2 alien guards rushed in, weapons raised. "Rebels!" one shouted. "They've broken through the outer wall." Jake's pulse jumped. "Rebels? You have rebels?" The Queen nodded grimly. "Not all accept peace with humans. They believe your kind must stay silent forever." A blast rocked the ship. Blue light flashed outside. The Queen grabbed Jake's arm. "Come with me," she ordered. They ran down a long corridor that curved like a spiral. Strange shadows moved behind transparent walls. Alien soldiers fighting in silence. "Why are they attacking?" Jake shouted. "Because," she said breathlessly, "the prophecy warned that when the voice returns, the world will change. And change terrifies them." They reached a round chamber filled with floating crystal screens. The Queen touched one and a map of the ship appeared. "They are heading here," she said. "They want you." Jake's chest tightened. "Then let me talk to them. If this voice is real, maybe I can—" "No," she interrupted sharply. "You don't understand the power you hold. If you speak with full force before you are ready, you could destroy everything, and even me." Her words made Jake freeze. Destroy everything? Just by speaking? The floor shook again. Smoke filled the hallway. The Queen turned to her guards. "Get him to the chamber below. Protect him with your lives." One guard nodded and pulled Jake toward a glowing elevator shaft. "Wait," Jake said. "What about you?" The Queen met his eyes. "I will buy you time. You are not ready to die yet, voice of Earth." The elevator door closed before he could answer. It dropped fast, spinning with light. Jake held on, heart pounding. Above him, explosions echoed. The whole ship groaned like a wounded beast. When the door opened again, he stepped into a darker room filled with machines and strange pods. One of the guards typed something on a panel. "Stay inside," he said. "We'll—" The sentence was cut short by a beam of light that sliced through the guard's chest. Jake screamed and ducked. Smoke filled the air. From the shadows, a new figure stepped forward, dressed in black armor, eyes burning red. The voice that came from behind the mask was cold. So this is the human who carries the voice. Jake's heart raced. The stranger lifted a weapon glowing blue. "The prophecy ends tonight." Jake thought the darkness would swallow him, but it only sharpened his senses. He had been locked in a room of humming machines and soft pods. The guard who brought him slumped on the floor with a smoking hole in his chest, and for a moment Jake felt nothing but cold fear and a tight metallic smell in the air. Then the stranger in black armor stepped forward and did something Jake did not expect. He spoke to Jake in plain, calm words, not the harsh alien tongue Jake had heard before. "You will not die here," the stranger said, and his voice sounded almost human. Jake froze. The armored figure removed his helmet and revealed a face that was not like the silver-skinned soldiers or the gold-eyed queen. He was an alien. Yes, but his skin was darker, his eyes soft, and his mouth moved with careful, slow speech. "Who are you?" Jake managed. The stranger bent down close enough that Jake could see the scars along his jaw. "My name is Raylan," he said. "I was a guard for the Queen, then I left." Jake did not trust him, but he felt a strange flicker of hope. Raylan glanced around the smoking room, then at the pod-lined walls. "You must come with me now," he whispered. "We have little time." Jake rose, legs numb, and followed Raylan through the ship's lower levels. The corridors here were older, the light dim, and the air tasted of dust and old oil. As they moved, Raylan told a short story in plain words. There had been two kinds of those aliens, those who served the Queen and believed in balance, and those who wanted power and feared the voice. Raylan had once been with the Queen, but he could not stand the way many of his people wanted to use humans as tools. He found Jake by chance when the rebels attacked a supply line. "I saw you," Raylan said. "I heard the way the Queen bowed. I felt the change." Jake wanted questions. Why him? How? What could he do? But Raylan only said what mattered now. They had to leave the ship and reach a hidden port where a small craft waited. Outside, Raylan said, the rebels were fighting and the Queen's loyalists were trying to hold them back. "We will cross in that chaos," Raylan told him. "You will not be safe in the palace." They moved past a door that led to a maintenance bay. Through a slit of glass, Jake saw bodies, fallen soldiers, tools scattered. A small child curled up under a crate, eyes wide and silent. Jake's heart went heavy. He wanted to say something heroic, but he had no training, no plan. He had only a voice that did strange things and a will to survive. Raylan opened the maintenance hatch and pushed Jake through. It smelled of grease and cold metal. They slid down a narrow shaft that hissed with steam, and for a while all that existed was the sound of their breathing and the pulsing vibrations in Jake's chest, like the hum that had followed him since the throne room. At the bottom they stood in a service tunnel where wires ran like vines and small blue lights blinked like steady eyes. Raylan moved with ease. Jake stumbled. "Keep close," Raylan urged. "If they catch you here, they will take you back to the Queen or worse." They passed a wall with an old mural carved into metal, images of Earth, of ships, of a tall human figure raising his hand. Jake touched the carving. The metal felt warm, as if the past had its own memory. "My people left Earth because of him," Raylan said softly. "But some never forgot." They reached the hangar where the small craft waited. It was crude and quiet, wrapped in shadow. Two other figures stood near it. One a woman with a scar across her cheek and another smaller with quick fingers. Both looked at Jake as if he were a strange animal, curious, unsure. "This craft will not hold long," the woman said. "It is for 3 only." Jake swallowed. "Then what will I do?" he asked. Raylan looked at him with something like pity and strength at once. "You will come with us. Then we will find a place for you to learn. You will not hide forever." The woman's fingers worked at the controls. The ship's engines hummed awake like a beast waking. Outside, thunder rolled, no ordinary weather, but the sound of bigger ships realigning in the sky. Raylan led Jake up a ramp and into the craft. It smelled of old fuel and hope. The ramp closed and the ship lifted, shuddering as it threaded through the lower layers of the Queen's hull. For a few seconds, Jake felt free, weightless again in the small cabin, and he imagined a return to normal life. Work, stars, quiet nights. Then alarms screamed. Lights flashed blue and red. The small craft lurched hard as something struck the hull. The woman cursed and the smaller man shouted that they were hit in the engine. Raylan looked out a tiny window. "They tracked us," he said. "They have a seeker on us." Jake felt panic spike. He knew the ship had powerful weapons and more ships above, but being small and alone made him human-sized scared. Outside in the void, a dark shape detached from the battle, fast and cruel. It moved like a hunting thing, and its nose blazed with a marker that pulsed toward the craft. The woman fought with the controls, hands shaking. "I can't shake it," she cried. Raylan grabbed her shoulder. "Brace," he shouted. The cabin shuddered as something hit the hull again. Fire danced under their feet for a breath, then died. A metal panel tore away and vacuum took a small hiss of air. Jake's heart slammed. He reached for anything, for words, for the voice that now hummed in him. He thought of the Queen kneeling, the throne room trembling, the prophecy carved in the metal mural. He had been running from war, but the war had found him. Raylan's voice cut through the noise, calm and urgent. "If they take you now, they will break you. Use what you have, Jake. Use your voice." Jake's mouth opened, and for the first time since he was taken, he felt the old hum answer back inside him, ready, waiting, and outside on the hull. A shadow split the void and a pale light grew like a mouth opening to speak. Jake didn't know if the scream was from the ship or from something deeper inside him, but the moment the shadow outside split open and the white light poured in, something ancient inside his chest came alive, louder, heavier, real. The air around him shook without sound, like pressure pressing against the bones of the world, and suddenly the cabin went still. The alarm stopped. The lights froze in place. Raylan's voice, sharp a second ago, now hung motionless like frozen air. Time itself felt slower. Jake's ears rang, not from pain but from power. His mouth had opened without thought, and he had spoken one word. He didn't even know what the word was, but it echoed through metal and stars like thunder wrapped in sunlight. The seeker ship that had chased them twisted in the sky, turning away like it had been struck by fear itself. It didn't explode. It simply fled. Jake collapsed into his seat, chest burning, head dizzy. The others stared at him like he was a god or a monster. Raylan knelt beside him. "You did it," he whispered. "You controlled it." But Jake didn't feel like he had. He didn't feel strong or brave. He felt broken, like something had cracked open inside him and poured out a voice that wasn't fully his. "What's happening to me?" Jake asked, voice low, shaking. That wasn't just me, it felt like someone else was there too. Raylan's face turned serious. "It was your blood," he said. "The first one speaks through you." His voice, your voice, are the same. Jake stared at his hands. They looked normal, human, but he didn't feel human anymore. Raylan helped him up, and the ship leveled out, the pilot calling that they were safe for now. But inside Jake, the battle had only just begun. He couldn't trust himself. What if he spoke again and broke a mountain? What if he whispered and burned a city? "I don't want this," Jake said. "I didn't ask for any of this." Raylan nodded. "Power never asks. It chooses." They landed in a hidden place, an old alien temple built into the side of a black canyon hidden from scanners. The ship cloaked itself as soon as it touched down. The place felt ancient. The walls were carved with stories and symbols and faces and star maps. One showed a human-like figure raising his hands as alien armies bowed before him. Another showed the same figure alone, surrounded by fire, his mouth open in a silent scream. Jake walked past each wall slowly, the silence pressing on his shoulders like invisible weight. In the center of the temple was a long table made of silver stone. Above it floated a single glowing crystal. Raylan touched it and it pulsed. Images appeared, moving pictures, memories. One showed Earth thousands of years ago, peaceful and green. Then alien ships came, then war. Then a voice, the voice, and everything changed. "He came before," Raylan said, pointing at the image of the first one. "He defeated our armies, not with weapons, but with sound. With truth. With heart." Jake watched the projection. "He looks like me," he whispered. "That's because you are him in pieces," Raylan replied. "His code. His blood. His spirit. You carry them all." Jake turned away. "But I don't know how to use it." "I'm not him." Raylan placed a hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to be him. You just have to be you with courage." The ground trembled faintly. Raylan looked toward the entrance. "They are coming again." "We don't have much time." Jake closed his eyes. Inside, the hum returned, the low vibration that followed his thoughts. He tried to control it, to guide it like breath. The hum grew stronger. His body felt lighter. He opened his mouth slowly and spoke a word. Not loud, not powerful, just clear. A stone near his foot lifted gently into the air, floating like a feather. The others watched in silence. "You're learning," Raylan said. But Jake still wasn't sure. Because deep inside him, under the voice, under the power, was a fear that someone or something was waiting, and it wasn't friendly. That night, Jake sat alone in the temple's inner chamber. The stars above twinkled through a cracked dome. His thoughts were storming. He thought of Earth, of home, of how none of this made sense. And then a whisper, soft like wind in a cave, reached his ear. But it wasn't from outside. It came from inside his mind. A voice, familiar, ancient. And it said only one thing: you are not alone in your body. Jake sat in the dark temple. Above him, stars blinked through the cracks in the ancient roof. The wind outside whispered through stone like it carried secrets. But the voice Jake heard wasn't from the wind. It was inside him, soft, deep, ancient. "You are not alone in your body," it had said. Jake didn't move, didn't speak, didn't breathe for a moment. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. No answer, only silence. But it wasn't empty. It listened. Raylan entered the chamber. "You look pale," he said. Jake nodded. "Something spoke to me." Raylan looked concerned. "Did you answer back?" "I think I already did." They sat in silence. Then Raylan pointed to the altar in the middle of the room. It had lit up just slightly, glowing with a warm white pulse. "The temple knows you're here," he said. "It's waking up." Jake walked toward the altar. His footsteps echoed like drums on the stone. The glowing crystal above it trembled in the air. He reached out. His fingers brushed it, and the room exploded with light. A storm of voices filled the space. Not loud, but powerful. Thousands of whispers. Some in languages Jake didn't know. Some in his own voice. Some in the voice of someone else. Someone older. The light became shapes. A battlefield. A memory, humans and aliens. Fires and skyships. A man stood in the center, tall, glowing, calm. The first one. Jake felt the connection like fire in his chest. The man opened his mouth. He did not shout. He spoke and mountains fell. Machines turned to dust. And the war stopped. Jake staggered back. His breath caught. His hands were shaking. Raylan stood beside him now, eyes wide. You saw it, didn't you? Jake nodded. It was him, and Raylan led Jake deeper into the temple. The walls were covered in carvings. Not just of battles, but of training. Symbols showing how the voice worked. How the sound wasn't just sound. It was truth. Energy shaped by emotion, by memory. You must learn control, Raylan said. Or the voice will use you, not the other way around. Jake closed his eyes, took a breath, and remembered. His mother's laugh, the smell of motor oil, the quiet street under Earth's moon. Then he spoke one word. Home, the word echoed. But not like an echo. It moved, rocks floated. The wind stopped. The lights above dimmed, and then bloomed again, twice as bright, you see? Raylan said with a smile. It listens to feeling. Jake practiced for hours. One word at a time. One thought. One breath. He made the air warmer with light. He turned a cracked wall smooth with heel. He even calmed a frightened bird with peace. But each time he used the voice, the hum in his body grew louder. It was like something inside was waiting for him to slip. That night, as he rested in the quiet stone room, the inner voice returned. But this time, it wasn't gentle. It laughed. You think you can control this? It said. You are mine. Jake sat up fast, sweating, breathing hard. I'm not yours, he whispered. The voice growled. You are the door. I am what comes through. He ran to Raylan's room, burst through the door. Raylan woke instantly. It's inside me, Jake said. Something dark. Something old. Raylan's face went cold. You weren't supposed to hear it this early. What is it? Jake asked. The first one, Raylan said slowly, didn't just pass on power. He passed on a prison, and now it's waking up. Jake stared at the floor. The prophecy didn't say this. The Queen didn't say this. No one said he might not be alone in his own skin. I thought I was chosen to save something, Jake said. Raylan looked at him with deep, steady eyes. You still are. Jake nodded. But now I know. I have to save it from myself. The stars burned red in the sky. Smoke floated through the air like ghosts. The Queen's city, once bright and full of peace, was now a battlefield. Jake stood at the edge of the canyon temple. Behind him, the ancient walls hummed with quiet power. Inside him, the hum had grown louder, darker. The voice was ready, but so was the other. The thing inside him that whispered promises, power, control, domination. Ships flew above the city, firing glowing beams into the palace towers. Alien rebels roared through the streets. And above them all, the Queen stood on her throne platform. Alone, she was surrounded, wounded, but she did not kneel. Not yet. Jake walked forward. One step at a time. Raylan stood beside him. You don't have to go alone, he said. Jake looked at him. I already am. Raylan touched his shoulder. If you lose yourself to it, we will stop you. Jake nodded. Please do. He stepped into the battlefield. Alone. Dust rose around him. The wind carried screams and smoke. But the moment he walked through the fire, everything paused. The rebels turned. They saw him. The human. The one with the voice. They charged. Weapons raised, no fear. Only hate. Jake took a breath. He remembered his mother. Her soft voice. The way she once sang to him during a thunderstorm. He opened his mouth and spoke one word. Stop. The ground cracked. The sky pulled in. The ships froze midair. Rebels dropped to their knees, gasping. But inside Jake, something else rose. The dark voice. It laughed. Yes, more. Use it all. Jake closed his eyes. Fought it. No, he whispered. I'm not your weapon. But the voice pushed. Without me, you are nothing. Jake dropped to his knees. Pain, like fire in his bones. Like thunder in his blood. Then he heard another voice. soft, kind. The Queen. She was speaking. Jake, let go of the fear. He looked up. She stood above him, wounded, shaking, but proud. You are not the first one, she said. You are the better one. The one who chooses. The thing inside him screamed. I will not be locked again. Jake stood. He faced the Queen, faced the rebels, faced the voice within, and he said, You don't own me. The light burst from his chest. A wave of truth. Not anger. Not hate, love. The sound was music. Not war. The rebels dropped their weapons. The ships powered down. The winds became still, and then the Queen. She stepped forward. She knelt before him, slowly, carefully, with tears in her golden eyes. You have done what no one has done, she said. You used the voice and did not destroy. Jake looked around. Peace. Silence. Even the dark voice inside him was gone, not dead, but sleeping tamed. Raylan joined him. The rebels helped the wounded. The sky turned gold as the first sun rose. Jake looked at the Queen. I don't want a throne. She smiled. Then you're the only one who ever deserved it. He turned away, walked down the broken road, stars still above him. But now, he felt like one of them. Not a god, not a soldier, just Jake, a man with a voice strong enough to change a galaxy.